Shalom, 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 shalom. Once again, you're not under the sounds of the voice of your brother Tazadaq. I'm coming at you live. I'm actually coming at you live from YouTube channel, The Endurance International, and on Facebook, Tazadaqshah. So I'm actually coming at you live from like both venues. So, this was essentially supposed to start at 2. I was actually running a little bit late. So you could either tune in on YouTube under the Undo International, or you could actually tune in on Facebook. I'm actually on both of them, like right now. So, with that being said, I mean, you choose which particular social media you actually want to tune in to. So, with that being said, I'm gonna put this out there. This is not legal advice. I do not offer legal advice. If you need legal advice, seek yourself a competent counsel, and then please be advised. Like everything that I'm about to give you is strictly for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not to be misconstrued as legal advice. Now, some of you may have a lot of rogue agents, or should I say, defacto officials, or bureaucrats that's actually putting liens against you. So, I mean, if such is the case, you definitely want to learn, from this video, and you're going to be glad that you actually did tune in. So let me just put a little more extensive disclaimer out there. This disclaimer is actually especially important because this is relatively a strategy that I've actually used. By the way, I'm not telling anyone to use this particular strategy. This is strictly for educational, informational purposes only. So if you use it, it's actually on you. I mean, you're doing so at your own at your own risk. Before you use it, you should actually research everything. Now, these liens, because they are so powerful, I'm gonna hit you, son. These are very powerful. So you want to think before you actually go and lien someone up. These liens are so powerful, so they should be treated with respect. This is not for people out there that just want to go and lien people up and put a lien on them, because this information could actually get into the wrong hands. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that want to do just that. They want to just go and lien people up without taking, the power that these type of liens really have in consideration. So I do not advocate, tazadaqshah or anyone else that's, working with me or affiliate with me, does not advocate the use of these liens against all government officials, nor to any official in particular. Understand that. Let me just put that out there. See, I, myself, and anyone else affiliate with me honor the fact that there are many virtuous people, well, I won't say many, I'll say some virtuous people in government offices who are actually truly striving to harm no one and to benefit as many people in society as possible. Now, the liens described in this particular lecture are not directed towards these harmless officials. But the scope and the purpose of, this lecture is to introduce the primer to the commercial lien strategy. It does not pretend to be the final word, a subject on that particular topic. And I, as the author or the spokesperson and editor, have actually essentially synthesized material from several different sources that I've actually researched over the years and compiled them all into one. So, with that being said, after listening to this lecture, you will know the fundamental principles of this particular strategy. And, this understanding plus, if you decide that thereafter you want to go and use it against someone, then you're doing so on your own accord. Now, the commercial lien strategy background, what is it? Because you got to know what it is in order to use it. So now you're faced with corrupt lawyers corrupt judges. And no litigant can actually expect to win in court by simply playing the defendant or on the defense. Understand that. So when they decide that they're going to try and railroad Tazadaq, guess what I resort to? You guessed it. The commercial lien process. Now, am I asking you to do this, or am I telling you to do this? Not at all. Not at all. So, how do you sue a lawyer? I got a question for malpractice. Anyone in the room? How do you sue a lawyer for malpractice, brother Jay Jackson? How do you sue a lawyer for malpractice? So, if you find one who will take the case, another lawyer that'll take the case, how do you sue an IRS agent for violating your rights that's reserved by the Constitution? That's a question. Brother Saul Ben Yasha'Allah, how do you sue the IRS for violating your rights reserved by the Constitution? It's a question. Anyone know the answer to those questions? You can only do so if you'll find another lawyer that would take the case with exceedingly great difficulties. How do you sue a black robe? How do you sue a judge or a magistrate? You know, and many of you under the sound of my voice right now, you gotta, because you told me this time and again, that actually ignore your paperwork and they railroad you in court and railroad your case. How do you sue? How do you sue a judge that decide that they railroaded? You know, they're gonna railroad you in court and ignore all your paperwork. You don't know. Brother Jay Jackson answered correctly. Most people don't know. And as practical, you know, as this may seem, you know, citizens or private citizens can't sue the president, Donald Duck Trump, of the United States Corporation. And the United States is a corporation, 28 USC 3002, subsection 15A. A private citizen cannot sue a governor. A private citizen cannot sue a judge or even the IRS agent for failing to obey or enforce the law. Did you know that? Private citizen can't do that. So if we try to sue in court to compel our defacto, that you refer to as government, officials to obey the law and to perform their lawful duties, the judge routinely ignore your paperwork. Is that correct? And he left you out of court. And some of you can test to this. Is that correct, Brother Maccabee? So, I mean, many of you can attest to this. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth. So, because the legal de facto, these rogue agents shield government personnel from being sued for committing crimes against we, the people. So the people needs a remedy. So the public is legally disarmed. And when I say the public, you're really the private, but that's another lecture. You're legally disarmed, unable to aggressively sue the de facto government or its agents and compel them to obey the law. So as a result, the public legal posture is fundamentally defensive. You're rarely the plaintiff. You're usually the defendant. So you try to duck, you try to dodge, you try to hide, and you try to hide in legal loopholes to defend yourselves. So what do you do? What do? You try to defend yourselves against the de facto government rogue agents and these courts. So you try to escape. You try to evade and you try to avoid, but you seldom counterattack against these antagonistic rogue agents, largely because you think that there is no lawful weapon to do so. Is that correct? It's correct. So, however, I beg to differ. Now, it appears that the powerful offensive legal weapon may now have been discovered, tested, and proven, not just by myself, but there's been other people that use commercial liens and have actually had success. So which is actually the commercial lien process. That is your remedy when you're dealing with these rogue agents that want to ignore your paperwork and want to take you as a joke, as something trivial. Do you understand? Now, am I telling you to do this? No, I did not tell you to do that. So instead, you simply file, instead of going in and arguing, because debtors argue. There's two types of people. When you're talking status, you have a debtor and you have a creditor. Which are you? Are you a debtor or you're a creditor? So instead of going in and argue, I simply file a lien that encumbers the officials for failing to perform his or her lawful duties. Do you understand? Do you understand? I just simply file the lien. Instead of simply filing that lien on my brother, I put it on these rogue agents that keeps trying to railroad me. So you simply, for educational purposes only, file a lien that encumbers these officials' personal property and their credit rating like a ton of bricks until he or she voluntarily satisfies your demands to perform his lawful duty, as we in turn will voluntarily agree to excise the lien. Because once you put a commercial lien on someone, not even another judge could raise that lien. Understand that. Understand that. And so the reason that they don't want liens against them is because you screw up their credit report, you lien up their bank account for educational purposes, you lien up their property. They can't do a damn thing. Do you understand? This is a very, very powerful tool. This is a very powerful tool. So let me give you some examples of the strategy. And you should be writing this down, or unless you plan to watch this video. Again, I don't even know if I'm going to leave this or not. Rightfully so, I should have charged for this. Now, some of the strategies. Example one, Edward J. Wagner was an hourly, ununionized employee at, let's call it ABC Electric. He received notices. That's not the real name, but I don't want to use the real name of the company because they may try and bring a suit against me for putting this out here. But anyways, it's public information. He ununionized employee at ABC Electric received notices of levies from the IRS, garnishing his wages and monies received from several other sources. So Wagner tried to persuade this ABC Electric not to honor the notices since they were not properly attested as the true bill of commerce. Do you follow me? So his efforts was met with no success, just like many of your efforts not met with success. Now, after giving GE proper notice and demand, Wagner and his wife filed what is known as a commercial lien in the amount of $224 million. So in the lien, Wagner impounded ABC Electric inventory that he had actually worked on, including air conditioning units, analyzing equipment, etc. So he used that as a security for the lien. So this is similar to an auto mechanic lien. If any of you heard of like auto mechanics impounding a car that he actually repaired. So if an auto mechanic repairs your car and you don't pay that mechanic, they could put a lien on that They will hold that car until you come forward with the money. So this is what Wagner did with their truck, with their equipment for this ABC Electric. He impounded this equipment, just like an auto mechanic would actually impound a car that he repaired, which is known as a mechanic lien. So this meant that ABC Electric could not lawfully sell or transfer the equipment until the lien was either extinguished or satisfied. Do you understand? This thing right here is very powerful. Shalom, brother Andrew. Welcome to the lecture. So now, among the reasons for the high dollar amount, or that the law allows for such high sums of rewards for damages actually incurred. So, and it generally has to be a large enough in relation to the size of the company involved to actually get the company's attention. You understand what I'm saying? Otherwise, they might just pay it off. So you want to, for educational purposes, make it large enough to get that company's attention so you can hit them while it hurts, for educational purposes only. Otherwise, if it's a very large company, they might just ignore it. You understand? If it's a small lien. Now, consequently, a legal war followed, by within 2 months later. So ABC Electric had gone to court several times trying to remove, this is a true story. I'm just not using the real name of the electric company, but Wagner did undergo this. Now, ABC Electric had actually went to court several times trying to remove Wagner's lien, all without any real success. So this was in spite of the fact that ABC Electric had the best, most highly paid and highly motivated lawyers. Understand that. They couldn't remove that commercial lien. Understand that. So in June of 2017, the first major victory for the Wagners came through. The IRS issued 4 different official releases of levy, one to ABC Electric, plus 3 other places where they had actually had wages and income that the IRS had levied. True story. So that was actually the Port of Seattle and Dean Witter Reynolds and Ohio State Life Insurance Company. So these effectively release the IRS attachments on the Wagner's income and assets. So that's a pretty solid testimony to the power of the argument in Mr. Wagner's lien. So let me give you another example. True story. Not fictitious, not made up. This is what happened. In August 2015, Nelson Starr, who lived in Florida, filed a lien on a federal judge now, the commissioner of the IRS, the Attorney General of the United States, and one more U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida, and several other individuals in the amount of $350 million each on each individual. $350 million on each individual. So the officials asked Mr. Allen, Diamond, the president of the Florida Bar Association, to inspect the lien and see if it was lawful. Now, don't believe me, go and check it out for yourself. In spite of his desires to please his powerful friends, Diamond could not find anything illegal about the lien. Commercial liens are not illegal. So how is it that some states are trying to make it a felony like Georgia for you to file a lien against someone? That's not lawful. That's not lawful. But nevertheless, so in fact, in a sworn affidavit, Diamond declared that, and I quote, the document causes irreparable harm to the system of the administration of justice. because there's not a damn thing that they could do about it. They know this. This is why they don't want you filing this. Because once you lien them up, it's not nothing they could do. Now, am I telling you to do this? I'm not telling you to do this. I'm telling you the effects of it. See, while some of the harm may be, reparable at law, no degree of compensation will adequately remedy the damage to the appearance of the integrity of those named in the system and the administration of justice. So, in my opinion, in filing of this type of lien is a direct attack on the justice system and the general reputations of those named in the lien. So it may negatively impact on the financial credit rating of that particular individual. This is what you're going to do. You're going to ruin their credit. It will probably have a negative impact on their willingness to continue to serve as a representative of the United States. So once you lean them up, you might not even be able to be judged anymore. This is why they don't want Tazadaq on the neck. This is why they try and flag my accounts, because they know that I'm onto something. Why? Because I'm not of this world. What else might you possibly do to them? What else may you possibly do to them? Because of these liens. It actually constitutes a base of civil process that cannot be adequately remedied by an action of law. So, in plain English, Diamond did not like the lien, but could not find any way to extinguish it. Do you understand? So he further seemed to say that the liens could drive public officials right out of office. Do you understand? Am I telling you to do this? No, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm telling you the effects that these liens could actually have on these public officials. Do you understand? For libertarians and patriots, that is a powerful, powerful tool. Let me give you another example. Example 3. Now, another man in Florida filed a commercial lien against 9 IRS agents. And I'm going to hit you with something, man. I've always told you, and this shows you that people really don't listen to me. Because what do I always tell you? I always tell you, never go after their position. Always, for educational purposes only, go after the man or the woman. You never go after the particular position. You don't go after the position. You don't lean up an attorney. You don't lean up a judge. You don't lean them up. You, for educational purposes only, you lean the person. You lean the person. You find the name of that person for educational purposes, and then you lean all over his behind or her behind. But let me give you another example. Get you in the right mindset. So, example number 3. Another man in Florida filed a commercial lien against the IRS agents. 9 of them. 9 IRS agents. A man in Florida. And to those of you that's in Florida, you should actually be listening to this and taking heed to this, because Florida is a very racist state, unbeknownst to many of you. And they got all kind of laws like, rape. They'll give you lifetime for rape in Florida, man. They putting their own laws on the book. You know what I mean? It's no longer a justice system. It's a legal system. And the only way that you're going to defeat it is to have right knowledge. So another man in Florida filed a commercial lien against the IRS agents and were later taken to the court by the IRS wives, by these men's wives. So the wives tried to unsuccessfully remove the lien because their credit cards had stopped working because he leaned their behinds up. I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm telling you this is a very powerful tool. If they keep messing with you, they want to railroad you in court. This is how Tazadaq deal with them. So these wives, the credit cards stopped working. Why? Because the guy put a lien on their husband. And so all of the wives' credit cards wasn't working anymore. So the liens had actually comprised their credit ratings credit scores went way down. They couldn't go shopping except with cash. That's the only way they could actually go shopping. All the credit cards frozen. So imagine the distress that the IRS agents themselves had to endure from their wives on the account of these liens. Now, evidently, the liens hit the agents where they live in a way that other actions of law could not do. You see what I'm saying? You can go into court and get a court order, but it's not going to affect them like these liens. Understand that. Understand that. So let me give you another example. Now, perhaps the most imaginative use of the commercial lien strategy is a lien by this dude, Mr. Phil Marshall, of the pilot connection against the president of the United States. The U.S. Congress, the Federal Reserve, and the commissioner of the IRS. Now, they don't want me putting out this kind of information. Understand that. But I'm going to put it out there anyways. Because I'm moving through the spirit of Yahawashi Yahawashi, Baha Sham, Mashaiyach Yahawashi. So anyways, now, for each of these, it was a $250 million lien. And he demanded $10,000. Now, if the lien were enforced, it would mean that the government will owe people. He put a lien, check this out. He didn't just put a lien for himself. He filed a $250 million lien for all Americans. For all Americans. And for each of the 250 million Americans, that lien demands $10,000 per each American. So if the lien was actually enforced, it would mean that the government will owe the people $2.5 trillion over half the annual gross national product. Do you understand? So this class action lien, like a class action lawsuit, well, this guy filed a class action lien. This class action lien will almost certainly never be enforced. Well, it was class action. They're not going to enforce it. However, if the courts find a way to extinguish it, it may have the effect of weakening the power of all liens, including the IRS liens, the ones that the IRS files on us. Do you understand? Now, everything that I'm about to give you is for informational use only. Not legal advice. Not legal advice. This caveat applies with particular force to any of you under the sound of my voice, or any of you that may watch this video later. See, I present this lien as an interesting, imaginative application of the commercial lien strategy, not as an endorsement. Do you understand? Not as an endorsement. So, what's the power of commercial liens? I just told you. Now, you want to be real skeptical, again, who you use these liens on. Now, although this lien strategy is very explosive, it's more like nitroglycerin than hydrogen bonds. You need to be knowledgeable and very careful to use nitroglycerin, but you do not need to be a nuclear physics. Do you understand? However, nitroglycerin can blow up in your face if you handle it carelessly. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm speaking to your imperables right now. Shalom, Brother Levi. I'm speaking to your imperables right now. Likewise, bombing, let me be careful the words that I use, because they were trying to piece some of this video and trying to incriminate me. So using these liens as if you're using, a bomb or something on de facto officials is a craft, not a science, that can actually be used as easily by knowledgeable pro se as it can by one of these attorneys out here that's actually been to legal school, or these legal scholars. You don't have to be an attorney to use this stuff. So the commercial lien is simple, inexpensive, and it takes very, very little time to prepare. It requires no court action, no judge's approval, none of that. And it has proven to be very direct and effective each time that it's been used. Now, if handled correctly. However, a few careless pro se people have had liens blow up in their faces. You don't want that to happen to you. You don't want that to happen to you, so you want to be very meticulous. Now, the long range is you can file a commercial lien on property in another state or on property you've actually never seen. With a commercial lien, you could actually attack the personal property of your adversary at long range rather than merely fighting to defend your own property in your own backyard. Do you understand? So this offensive capability makes the commercial lien a very powerful legal weapon. So with the commercial lien, you can literally take the fight to your backyard. Now, it renders these bureaucrats helpless. The commercial lien, which is actually authorized by both the common law and Title 15 of the United States, don't believe me, go and check it out, code, is reportedly the same lien that the IRS uses to take the Americans' homes, to take your cars, and some pro se litigants do not depend upon Title 15, but upon the common law of negotiable instruments, aka which is the common law. Now, it's almost impossible to remove a commercial lien without the approval of the individual claimant that put that lien in place. Do you understand? So don't say that you don't have some power. You still have some power by way of these commercial liens. Now, although a commercial lien can actually be challenged by a common law court or by the Seventh Amendment jury trial, it does not require a court process or a court judge for its establishment or validity. Do you understand? Or its execution. So therefore, it appears that the courts may not be able to simply extinguish this lien on their own discretion or a motion from the lien debtor. The debtor, the person that you put the damn lien on. Hey, Shalom, King Knowledge, the person that you put the lien on, without the voluntary approval of the person who filed the lien, you. So if you put the lien, typically you're the only one that could actually remove it. So go ahead and try and play semantics with me and see what happens to you. So traditionally now, the liens could only be removed by the voluntarily decision of the person that filed the lien in the first place, by the decision of the constitutional common law jury trial. They may be able to remove it, or by waiting 99 or 100 years for that lien to expire. And by that time, that person is likely to be dead. Because the average American is only living 65, 70 years. And if you're a so-called black man, you may not make it past 25, or a so-called Hispanic. So since the common law has actually been smothered in the United States, all judges are essentially powerless to overcome these liens. Now, I'm not telling you to lien a judge. No, I'm not. But I'm telling you, if you put a lien on him, there's not a damn thing that he could do about it for educational purposes only. So what's the right way of the law? Now, before utilizing any of the procedures suggested, I strongly suggest that you read my books, study my books, understand what a commercial lien truly is, visit my website, watch the videos so you can really understand what you're doing. You don't want to just go out and do this against someone, man. That's the right way. Run the law. I mean the contract. I mean the law. Wait, contract is law and law is contract. So you got to learn the law. Now, to effectively use the commercial lien strategy, you should have a good grasp on the principles of the laws involved. Now, immediately, You don't just go, oh wow, I learned this. I watched Tazadaq video. I'm going to go and lean so and so up. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you don't want to do that. You're behaving like a debtor. You don't want to behave like a debtor. Now, most of you have been hypnotized into believing that the meaningless legislators or the meaningless scabies of these legislators, Donald Duck Trump, etc., constitutes the law. You believe what they say constitutes the law. But after listening to me, things should be absolutely clear to you. The law is whatever you give your consent to. If you don't give your consent to, it's not the law. Understand that. See, this insight frees you from being a debtor, from being a victim, from being a surety and a subject, which is also a slave, and restores you to being a creditor or a free man or a free woman to your rightful position of power as a secure party creditor or a sovereign. Now, always remember that these territorial gangsters have all sorts of ways to obtain your consent. And the only reason that you ever get locked up or anything is because you consent, is because there's a contract involved somehow. And I tell you to get my book so you can actually understand how to speak this language and learn contract law, but you still refuse to do it. Don't consent. Stop consenting. How do you know if you're consenting? You got to know how to use these words. Now, the commercial affidavit process. Now, very, very, very powerful weapon. We always do everything under the heading of an affidavit. Why? Because an unanswered affidavit stands as the truth. That's a maximum of law. Hey, shalom, brother Sean Barnes. Thanks for joining. Now, the commercial affidavit process, or CAP, or use an acronym CAP, commercial affidavit process, is perhaps one of the most powerful devices available to the common man for righting wrongs and obtaining justice. So this process is not new, as some people may have you believe that really hasn't studied and done the proper research. At its foundations are the laws of commerce. Commerce. What is commerce? You got to know what commerce is. Everything that you do, every day that you live, you're operating in commerce. Right now, you're swimming in the sea of commerce, known as contract laws. Everything involves commerce. So you got to understand commerce. Commerce is at its foundation, which springs from the eternal, immutable laws of the Most High. All of this man's system spring from the laws of the Most High, the laws of the Bible. And the laws have been enforced since the beginning of time, since the time of Adam. Most of you just don't get it. You can't correlate the two. You can't put the two together. You can't see, if you know the Bible, that you can master this law stuff, that you can master this man's law. Do you understand? So provoke the use of commercial affidavits process against you, and you provoke the wrath of the all just and almighty Most High. Now today, many of you, you're availing yourselves of this commercial affidavit process systems, and you are equipping yourselves with a very powerful equalizer. You know, like Denzel Washington's movie, The Equalizer, and you're coming out with a part two. Well, your equalizer is a commercial lien. Your equalizer against these rogue agents is a commercial lien. Understand that. So the commercial affidavit process is a very lethal weapon against injustice. Someone want to be unjust against you? Someone try and cheat you out of something? Lien them up. Put a commercial lien against them. I guarantee they will pay you. They won't be able to do nothing. You will ruin their account. So understand that. Well, maybe you should lean them up. I shouldn't tell you to lean them up. Okay. Um, YouTube. Let me have a look at this. See what's going on over here. I'm trying to turn my mic down. Hey, some people just getting a high pitched ringtone from YouTube. Shalom. Nevertheless, let me continue. For those of you on YouTube, if you're getting some negative feedback or something, I'm streaming this on Facebook as well under tazadaqshah, so you can actually go over to Facebook if they're actually having a problem listening here on YouTube. But nevertheless, what's the foundation of the law? Now, there are basically three classes of laws. The laws of the Most High, which actually encompasses the laws of nature, the laws of the land, also referred to as the common law, and lastly is private law, or man-made laws, also referred to as contract law. Wait, contract is law, and law is contract. Now, the so-called founding fathers believed that it was actually self-evident that the Most High, the God of nature, is the sovereign of the universe and everything in it, which is the truth. And that he has actually endowed all mankind with certain unalienable rights. They call them unalienable rights, making them self-directing sovereigns, which means that any government instituted among men derives its just powers from the people. That's crystal clear. That's crystal clear. From the people only. So from the consent of the governed, which are you, the people. So in order for them to have any kind of power, you have to consent. Do you understand what I'm saying? Many of you go to jail and so, the prosecutor said, well, you should have got 20 years, Mr. Turner, but we're going to give some leniency over you, and we're going to give you 10 years. And what do? You consent. He said, do you agree to that? And you just said yes. Instead of saying, hell no, I don't agree. I don't consent to any of this. But you keep consenting, so they lock you behind up. So you volunteer to go to jail. Never consent. I never consent to any of their offers. See, then the people are further convinced that the Most High temporal law for mankind was actually expressed in the law of the land. See, common law is common sense. Common law is nothing but common sense of the law. So it is simple, straightforward, and self-evident, primarily because it is based on the laws of the Most High Yahweh. It is the foundation of the law of the Union States. So if you know the Bible, you shouldn't have a problem with any of this. So these so-called founding fathers authorized three legal systems: Constitution, first, common law; second, equity law; and the third, admiralty law, which is the law of the sea. They authorize that. Now, gradually, common law has actually been displaced by equity law until today. The common law is rarely heard of or even understood because it's actually been covered by and hidden by the legal profession for very, very understandable reasons, business reasons, so they could extract fiat from you. So such people are actually pursuing their own private agenda. They're not looking out for your best interests. Understand that. So it's whether or not the secured party creditor or the sovereigns must get permission from their servants, which is the government. The governments are public servants. The police officers are public servants. Do you need permission from a government to get married? Now, what about the private law? The private law is that which comes into being when people enter into agreements, creating the rules and terms by which they agree to be bound together. That's the private law. So the state and the federal constitutions are examples of private law. They come under the heading of contract law because they are contracts that establish governments and designed to protect the people from the government. So to keep the government under control, the people were very precise to the language that they use to make perfectly clear and exactly what powers were actually being delegated, and that any powers not specifically delegated were reserved by the people to the states or people. Do you understand? You got to know this, man, if you're going to be effective with this stuff. So it should be remembered that the people are the sovereigns. The people are the creditors of the state governments, and the states are the sovereigns of the federal government. Understand that. Thus, knowing thus, we the people, either directly or indirectly, are the sovereigns over both governments. Do you understand? If you're one of the people. But if you're a person, it's not true. So are you one of the people? That becomes the question. Or are you a citizen, which is a subject? So you're going to have to choose one. Point blank, period. You're going to have to choose one. You're going to have to choose one. So the states have been given specific and limited power from the people. They also made sure that they were provisions that safeguarded the people's right to abolish or to change the government and to create a different government if they so choose to do so. So if you're not content with this government, what are you waiting for to create a new government? It says it in the Declaration of Independence. What are you waiting for? You're afraid. You're afraid. So the public law is a form of private law which results when laws are made in proper application of the delegated authority covered to the legislations. So Title 18, don't believe me, go and check it out for yourself. I'll give you the title. Title 18, the Federal Criminal Code, is an example of public law. It was actually drafted to grant non-citizens the protection and the defense citizens have under the common law. So Title 18 does not apply to you if you are a secure party creditor or a sovereign. Do you understand? Thus, applies only to subjects of the federal government, which is a citizen, which is a person, which is a slave. So in 1938, let's go into some history real quick, because you need to know this so you can understand why the liens are effective and so on and so forth, why you should be a secure party creditor and stop being a debtor slave. In 1938, the United States abandoned public law and adopted an unconstitutional system called public policy. Public policy. And understanding that distinguish is so vital that the definition of these terms I'm going to give to you. Now, what is public law? That public law is that portion of law. Let me make sure people on this side can hear me. The people over here on YouTube, can you hear me clearly? I know you can over on Facebook, but I'm operating on two computers here. This is why I'm looking at this side and looking at this side. I need to make sure you can actually hear me over here on YouTube. If you can hear me on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. I know you can hear me over here on Facebook. Anyone in the room, you can hear me over here on YouTube, give me a thumbs up or just type yes. Brother Jay Jackson, I see you on both sides. Can you, John Doe, can you hear me over here? Okay, the water, Chris. Thanks for that. Just want to make sure you can hear me, man. This is very important information. So public law, what is it? It's that portion of law which deals with powers, rights, duties, capacities, and incapacities of government, and it delegates authority. That's what the public law is. Those laws which are actually concerned with government in its political capacity, considered in quasi-private personalities, i.e., capable of holding or exercising rights or acquiring and dealing with property in the character of a particular individual. But what is public policy then? Because if public law is different from public policy, what is public policy? Public policy is the rules, the procedures, the policy of a sovereign or a secure party creditor over its subjects. It holds that no subject can lawfully do that which has a tendency to be injurious to the public or against the public good as defined by the sovereign. So if you're sovereign and the government is the subjects, how in the hell are you allowing the government, the de facto, to do this stuff to you? Why do you keep losing in courts? If you're the sovereign, it's because you are a citizen. It's because you're not a secured party creditor. What are you waiting for to become one? You can't do anything in a corporate ward status. You are a slave. You're a chattel property, and that's what slavery really is. So this public policy, it's not something that the people wanted. Now, these rules and regulations are therefore not laws. Public policy are not laws, but rather terms imposed by contracts and agreements. So everyone else on the web is telling you to do all of this stuff, and then comes Tazadaq that tells you just learn contract law and you will master all of this. And you still yet to do it, because everything that they do is because of a contract. And in order for a contract to be effective, you have to consent. Do you understand? If you don't consent, they don't have a damn thing on you, because it's all public policy. It's all about contracts. So it's the contract themselves which make these rules and regulations binding. I can't overemphasize that. I told you to get my books. I told you to get Brian Blum's book, or any good book on contract law, so that you can learn that contract is the law. Because if you understand the contracts, you're going to find a way out of all of this. I don't give a damn if it's a student loan. I don't care if it's a so-called house mortgage. I don't care if it's a car loan. If you can master the contract, contracts are dynamic. You can make a move. There's a way out of this, and you can win. Understand that. You just got to know how to make the contract move in your favor. Do you understand? So if you're not a party to those contracts, if you're not a subject, which means property, a damn slave of the government, if you are a secure party creditor, you can make yourself a party by volunteering to the company. You get an offer to pay such and such. You get an offer to go to court. Well, you're making yourself a party. Why the hell are you going to arguing? You go in and you establish the status. What is the status of the judge? What's your nationality? What are your status? Get back beyond status. Does this court has jurisdiction over you? But you go straight to adjudication because you really don't understand law. And they're not practicing law. What they're practicing is public policy. But you automatically assume law is on the table when you go into a court because you won't study and you're not learning the law. Do you understand? Do you understand? So once you decide that you consent, once you decide that you comply, once you decide to play the game, you are compelled by the rules of the game to continue to play. Understand that. So once compelled, the best out is to reassert your secure party creditor status or your sovereign capacity. Do you understand? The very concept of public policy and its inherent usurpation of power from the secure party creditors and the sovereign people is so addictive and has become so widely accepted by bureaucrats in all levels of government that they act as if they were masters of the people. You don't understand who you are. You don't understand your real power because you're in a corporate ward status and you really believe the government has power over you. And they do if you're in a corporate ward status. Why? Because you won't get back in proper status. You want to be a debtor slave, yet you want to argue against the de facto, the government. So this administrative law is much like Roman law. In fact, America is an extension of Rome. It is also called civil law, like Roman civics. So conceptually, Roman or civil law, which is actually practiced in much of Europe. These Euro Gentiles, I'm gonna hit you, man. Any of you Euro Gentiles listen to me. It's your people that brought this madness here, because Roman law is practiced in most of Europe, and it's diametrically opposite to the common law. It's you, now, I'm not being racist, it's you that put the people in these positions that they're in. It was your people that do that. It wasn't my people that did that, man. Now, I'm not causing division because your people has already divided everyone. So why don't you fix it? Now, under Roman law or Roman civil law, you are guilty until proven innocent and have only those rights. Your master, the government, chose to grant you. Do you understand? This is how Roman law works. Now they've eased Roman law right here into America. Do you understand? So you're not innocent until proven guilty, and retain no rights. Nothing's delegated. So what you're seeing more and more is more and more of this Roman class of laws in this country, in this nation. So if you are charged, you are treated as being guilty until proven innocent. Once they charge you with something, you must bear me witness. They treat you like you're a damn slave. Once they charge you with something, they treat you like you're already guilty, even if you're not. You're seeing that more and more in this country. They charge you and they treat you as if you're guilty. Now, if that's happening to you, it's because of your legal status. Because you're in a corporate ward status. What are you waiting for to become a secured party creditor to change your status? What are you waiting for? Or what they perceive as your legal status. Remember, they operate off presumptions and assumptions. They assume that you're a debtor. They assume that you're in a corporate ward status. They assume that you are a person. So if your legal status is that of a secured party creditor or a sovereign, your unalienable rights are being violated. Do you understand? Now, what are the principles of all of this? Tazadaq, why are you telling me this? So, in the days prior to the turn of the century in America, the customs was for those studying law to study the Bible. You've heard me say that before. All lawyers had to know the Bible. They had to study the Bible and the laws contained there in the Bible. Do you follow me? So those principles would occupy a prominent place in the minds of those practicing law. Do you understand? Because they was trying to do it from a spiritual perspective. You got people that laugh at the Bible because they're ignorant. So this is not the case today, brothers and sisters, but rather the opposite. The eternal truth contained in the Bible have been lost in this corrupt court system. You follow me? So it is still the best place to learn about the Lord generally is the Bible. Is the Torah and the Tanakh. Those are the eternal truths. The concept of a system of law was not founded upon those external truths that Esau is using today. These external truths is tantamount to building a house on quicksand. So in America, the secured party creditor, the sovereign powers reside in and comes only from we, the people. You need to get that in your minds. Once you get that in your head, things are going to turn out differently for you. We, the people, are sovereigns. All power and authority of the government comes from we, the people. All power that the government has comes from we, the people. If we don't have the rights to do a thing, we cannot delegate any right to government. Do you understand? So if we cannot give to anyone or anything or any power or any authority, We don't have them. So is it not controversial um, that the people now fear the government? Legislators are bureaucrats, are judges. They pretend that they can make laws to implement powers, and you believe it. But we, the people, did not and cannot give them, so they pretend. They say, well, you can't give us power to do anything. Well, that's a lie. That's not what the supreme law of the land says, the Constitution. Is it evident? Yet they pretend that they could do virtually anything that they want to do. Do they not? And you fall for it. They write up something and they call it law. And because so many people are dumbed down and ignorant, you believe it. You believe it. So they punish you unjustly. They imprison you unjustly. They promulgate rules based on those interpretations that they come up with, or they render decisions that are clearly unethical to the concepts set forth in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the Republic, which is actually the supreme law of the land. The very Constitution that they've sworn an oath not to violate. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. You ever wonder why they don't want you to mention the Constitution in their courts? See, they know that few, if any, who discover these corruptions will have the perseverance, let alone the financial means and times that's required to find a qualified, willing attorney to utilize the court system and expose these corruptions and bring them to account for their malfunctions. They know not too many people are going to do that. So they also promote, and rarely on the general misconception, that any state passed by a legislature or any statute passed by a legislature is valid. Who said that? Did you agree to it? Did the people vote on it? Or did they just come up with it? Did a small fraction of people just come up and decide to vote and say, well, you know what, we're going to call this law. Now, you run through this traffic light, we're going to put up a light here, and if you run this red light, we're going to mail your ticket in the mail. Did you agree to that? No, it was government. I mean, defacto. That orchestrated this stuff. If you didn't agree to it, then why does it apply to you? I'm freezing over here. If you did not agree to it, brothers and sisters, why does it apply to you? Try to refresh this. It shouldn't apply to you if you didn't agree to it. Do you understand? Facebook is freezing up. The screen is frozen on Facebook. Can you still hear me over there? Can I get a yes, no over there? I'm not sure why that's freezing, but hey, nevertheless. Okay, cool. My screen's frozen. I don't know. This information is going forward. They don't want it out there. But anyways, so since an unconstitutional law, so KO just froze also. Mine's froze also. Wonder what's going on with that. They don't want this information out. But I guess as long as you can hear me, I'm not sure the screen just froze like that. Let me check over here on YouTube. No, it's working just fine on YouTube. So those of you that screen's frozen on Facebook, if Facebook screen's not moving, you could actually go over to YouTube channel Undo International. If I refresh this, it's probably gonna like leave the live stream. Nah, don't we stay and see what happens here. Nevertheless, so since an unconstitutional law is void, the general principles follow that it imposes no duties and confers no rights. So it creates no office, it bestows no power or authority on anyone, it affords no protection and justifies no acts performed under it. So no one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law. Did you hear me? No one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no courts are bound to enforce them. Do you understand? Do you understand? So the general rule, wow, why is the screen frozen? So the general rule is that an unconstitutional act of legislator protects no one. So it is said that all persons are presumed to know the law. Okay, this thing just ended. Give me 1 minute. This Facebook Live just went dead. So let me try this again. Okay, so give this thing a name here. All right, we're going back live here on Facebook just for a second. So we're back live here on Facebook. I'm not sure that died. You saw it doing this thing, trying to censor me. But nevertheless, so the general rule is that an unconstitutional law or act, a legislature actually promotes no one. So where rights are secured by the Constitution or involved, there could be no rule making or legislation. Understand that. There could be no rule making or legislation which would actually abrogate those rights. That's Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 346 at 491. That's case law. That's case law. Understand that. So in order for a law to be proper, it must be just. In order for a law to be proper, it must be just. It must protect the equality and all the rights of all without violating the rights of any. In order for a law to be just, there is nothing mysterious about proper law, nothing whatsoever. So it is based on reasonable and common damn sense. So, and it is actually harmonious with the laws of the Most High Yahweh. So now I want you to check a law against this measure. If someone telling you something is law and you check it against this measure, is not a just law, you're not obligated to follow for educational purposes an unjust law if it's unconstitutional. Do you understand? So if it fits the mold of eternal truth and justice, say to yourself, would I be willing or would I be unwilling to have the law applied to myself or my close friend? So if any such application seems to repugnant to you, or if it seems unfair or unjust, then there is probably something wrong with that law. The Most High Yahweh knows that people's political standards are a reliable reflection of their moral standards, and the laws which they support are a good test of how they wish to be judged. Book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 1. So people can clearly see that taking money from someone by force, like they're doing to you, these damn traffic tickets, every time you go into court, is something based on commerce. So taking money from someone by force is a crime when done by individuals. Is that right? If I go up to you with a gun and say, give me your damn money, or I'm going to throw you in the jail, is that not what the courts are doing? They're taking money by force. Can everyone else in here see Facebook? I think that might be just you having that problem, Rachel, because I can see Facebook just Fine, I logged out and I'll log back in. So if you can't see Facebook, you might want to log out and log back in, or just refresh your page. But nevertheless, the government's doing that. But it's supposed to be a crime to take money by force. That's criminal. And you're not supposed to take money from an individual by force. Is that correct? But they may fail to recognize the criminality of that same act when it's done by the de facto government. So, for example, how would you feel if you had a particular entitlement and the government told you that you were authorized to collect a portion of this government handout for each of your neighbors? How would you feel? Now, let's suppose that your entitlement is food stamps. Instead of giving you stamps, the government gives you a list of people from whom you are authorized to collect the money to buy the food. Do you follow me? Now, how would you feel if they told you it was all right to force your neighbor to give you the money? Now, every time you need money or more food, you had to do it over and over and over again. Would that be right? Would that be right? Would it? So, if not, why would changing the name of the collector make it right? Would it go against your grain to do so? How would your neighbor feel when you presented your authorization? How would you feel if your neighbor were coming to collect from you for some other entitlement program that were authorized to collect? How would you feel about that? See, the commercial affidavit process is a pre-common law Facebook just froze again. I'm not sure what's going on here, man. Well, the screen just literally froze again. Wow. So I'm not sure what's going on with Facebook. People on Facebook, you might want to come over to YouTube channel Undo International. Looks like that's working pretty good, but yeah, I don't think they're too favorable of this information going out. So I'll try and refresh this one more time over here on Facebook. It's lost again. I'll go back in, see what happens here. Right, so one more time for Facebook. I'll let this information out there. Could understand that. But nevertheless, the commercial affidavit process is essentially a pre-common law process. It is also referred to as a commercial law process, not to be confused with the Uniform Commercial Code and other manipulated and complicated rules and regulations. It is a pre-common law process because until it is actually a disagreement, there is no dispute. Understand? So it is a pre-common law process because if there's no disagreement, then there is no dispute. Now, all that is being done is the establishment of claims and obligations. So the purpose of the commercial affidavit process is to make claims and determine if the accused agrees or do not agree. So if the accused does not contest the claim, there is no dispute to be adjudicated. Thus, the appropriate damages are agreed upon. So, thus, it's a prejudicial issue. So it may also be completely non-judicial if it's properly implemented. Now, the term commercial, as used in this particular lecture, refers to any dealings with people have among themselves. Knowing thus, the laws of commerce refers to the just rules of procedures governing human relationships, the self-evident principles of right and wrong, which are the foundations of the common law. Now, the foundations of the commercial law rest solidly on the bedrock of justice and common sense. These laws are so sound and so universally accepted, they cannot be with impunity or be overturned or overwritten or tampered with in any way whatsoever. They're founded on eternal truths and the words of the Most High Power, needing no proof from anyone to justify the validity. So they are completely unlawful. They provide eternal, equal justice to all parties of interest, and thus they are completely fair. So there's nothing unjust about a commercial lien process. This is the key to your power. All other just laws spring forth from this particular foundation. So by contract, by corrupt laws, or mere shadows of the true and correct principles of this law. So justice is actually delivered quickly, simply, fairly, and conclusively with the commercial affidavit process. You will get justice if you use this particular process. So this may be a terrible disappointment to the wrongdoers, to someone that's actually crossing you. Yeah, it went totally out, good brother, because I had to log off and log in 2 times on Facebook. They're playing, they playing around with it. Like, they don't want this information to go out, but nevertheless, we're back. So let's continue on with this right knowledge. So those who are actually subverting just laws, setting themselves aside, covering them up, creating shadow laws or colorable laws, and are just using self-serving laws to subject and plunder their fellow man and woman. And that's what this defacto is doing. And if they're doing this to you, if you decide, well, the screen just froze again on Facebook. If you decide to use this commercial lien process, they're going to be in for a bad day, a very bad day. Facebook, I'm going to refresh it again. The screen's frozen again. I'm definitely not sure what's going on here with Facebook, but they definitely don't want this to go out. It's going to be like 10 live streams on my page here. Just keep freezing. I don't know if it's Firefox or what have you, but the Facebook definitely keeps freezing. This never happened before. But anyways, back on the Facebook again. So those people that have been like railroading you, they're in for a rude awakening if you decide to use this commercial lien process. Now, maxims in law. Maxims are as much a part of the law as human relations are in commerce. So maxims never change. Maxims never change. So, I often quote maxims of law. Now, it's necessary to tell you all of this stuff so you can actually understand the commercial lien process. These maxims are fundamentals and are the basics of having God's laws known. So no one of sound mind argues against a maxim of law. They are the bedrock of logic and reasoning, and of common sense, and of truth. They are the fundamental principles upon which all right is actually based. They are the standards to measure the correctness of the course of your actions. So the word maxim is actually defined as an expression of an absolute truth or principle. That's what a maxim is. Maxims are so powerful and unequivocal that they are the foundation of all human relationships. They have the power to cut to the heart of a matter in a heartbeat with reasoning, with logic, and with authority. They cover every topic imaginable in every aspect of our lives. Why? Because they come from the Creator. They are not easily misunderstood, and they're not easily misapplied. They are universal, and they are self-evident truths. Maxims might be considered the backbone when all else fails. So all you fathers undergoing child support and so on and so forth, you may want to learn some maxims of law. And it doesn't take a law degree to understand maxims of law. They're very simplistic, very simple. So the light truth in the maxims cannot be extinguished through the evil workers of their craftiness and corruptness. They may be forgotten by many people, intentionally concealed by these bureaucrats, but they're still effective today, despite whom or what. Maxims never go away. So I would suggest that you start using maxims of law. I'm not practicing law, but I'm telling you to start using maxims of law. So I'm going to give you some maxims real quick for rendering justice. One is all are equal under the law. You go into a court, black robe try to exercise authority over you. My honor, are we not all equal under the law? A matter must be expressed to be resolved. You got to first express a matter for it to be resolved. Claims made without accountability are void. So if you make a claim, you got to be accountable for that claim. Might does not make right. Just because you have power. Man, this Facebook just froze again. I'm almost about to give up on it. Real talk. This Facebook just keeps freezing. So do it again. So if you're on Facebook at this point, you may want to just come over to my YouTube channel, The Undoing International, because this is like the fourth time that I've actually had to log into Facebook. Another maxim of law: force, prejudice, or subornation of perjury voids all. So if you force someone, it's null and void. If an officer forces you to do something, in other words, it becomes void. Feud. While the battle continues, he who leaves the battlefield or refuses to contend loses by default. It's a maxim of law. You are free to make any decision you wish, but you're never free to escape the consequences of your decisions. That's a maxim of law. A labor is worthy of his hire. Quid pro quo. Something for something. Thou shalt not steal. It's a maxim of law. Now, notice to the agent is notice to the principal, and notice to the principal is notice to the agent. How many of you knew when I put this in my affidavits that I was literally citing the maxim of law? Notice to agent is notice to principal, and notice to principal is notice to agent. It's a maxim of law. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. What are we reading? We're reading the Bible. These are maxims of law. So when dealing with truth stands supreme. That's a maxim of law. Truth affects but cannot be affected. That's a maxim of law. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. What? So why in the hell are you filing motions? I'm going to read that one again. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit, which means an unanswered affidavit stands as the truth. Do you understand? Truth will out. An unrebutted affidavit stands as the truth. That's a maxim of law. Thou shalt not bear false witness. It's a maxim of law. What are we reading? Now you see, now you're beginning to understand why they read the Bible, where all lawyers had to read the Bible. And I keep telling you, read the Bible. If you want to understand contracts and master this, read the Bible. Ignorance is no respecter. It affects all without regard to position of title. That's a maxim of law. Now, regarding your sovereignty, what are the maxims on that? Now, it is evident that all men are endowed by their creator, Yahweh, with equal and unalienable rights. Judge doesn't have any more power than you, and you outrule him in his public servant capacity. The created cannot be greater than the creator. Wait, did not man create the court? How can the court be greater than you? How can the judge be greater than you? Man created that position. How can the judge be greater than you? It's a maxim of law. A man can give to another no more than he himself has. A man will not with impunity infringe upon another man's rights. You could justify your rights as long as you don't infringe upon the rights of another. The people, not the court, not the judge, not the president, the people are sovereign. That's a maxim of law. In America, the government is the servant and the people are sovereign. The maxim of law says in America, the government is the servant of the sovereign people. That's a maxim of law. Why are you not using these in your affidavits? Because you don't know it. Why? Because you don't like to read. Now, we cannot give to another, to anyone, anything, any power or authority that we don't have. That's a maxim of the law. I'm going to say that again. In order for the government to have power, let me break it down because this is going over a lot of your heads. In order for the government to have power, right? In order for a police officer to have power, in order for any of these public officials to have power, the maximum of law states we cannot give anyone or anything, any power or authority we don't have. So in order to give them power, you got to have the power first yourself. Do you understand? So all power comes from the people. Do you understand? So this is a failed legal system. Although the court system may have a central part to play, once the commercial affidavit has been served and answered, the system is not and cannot be invoked until the charges in the affidavit has been answered. Understand that. Now I'm talking about the commercial affidavit. Number one, acquiescence. Number two, rebuttal. Number three, default. Until that point, there is no disagreement to adjudicate. Do you understand? A disagreement could arise only from a rebuttal. So if they don't rebut it, you get what you want. Do you understand? But even though it would be feasible to involve the court system to adjudicate such a disagreement, no one seeking justice would really want to do so because the court system has become so extremely costly and damn corrupt. People don't even want to go in there. And it moves very slowly when you are the plaintiff. Do you understand? These man-made rules of legalism and their natural inclination has corrupted the whole damn system, the whole damn legal system, to promote their financial success and their legal businesses, like the United States Corporation. So if any adjudication is found necessary, it will actually be done by common law jury at the discretion of the claimant, which mean that file the commercial lien. So in stark contrast to the equity court system of today, the commercial affidavit process system is so effective in exposing the truth, in rendering and enforcing justice, that it is a lethal weapon in war for the freedom and liberties of the unalienable rights of we the people. Do you understand? Everyone should know this process. Or they want to get unruly? Now, what if you're done with a private matter? Let's say this dude, I started to lean all over his ass. This dude, I done a packet for. This dude, he goes, watch this. And so I forgave this dude because the Most High says better to forgive than to take your brother into the court system. So I had to pray hard on that because I had my keyboard and I was about to lean all over his ass, man. Two of them did. Mark Baltimore, I'm going to say your damn name. Mark Baltimore and this other guy, I still have to lean your ass up, man, lean your home up, lean your property, and I would own that boy. I would have owned that boy, man. So when you're dealing with a private matter, the commercial affidavit process places the full power of justice back in the hand of the common man. Understand that. It cannot be overstated that the whole commercial affidavit process is not dependent upon the court system. So, Baltimore, I could have leaned all over your ass, boy. You should be thanking me right now. And you too, Sterling Santos. I gotta lean your ass up right now, man. You don't know who you're dealing with, man. You don't know what kind of power I have over you, boy. So you should be thanking me, man. You men are scoffers, man. You men are wicked. And the only thing that did stop me from leaning you up, man, and taking you home was the spirit of Baha Sham Yahawashi. Because you, rightfully so, you stole from me, man, both of you. And I started to lean you up, man, mess up your whole family and life, your whole credit report. You wouldn't even be able to get a damn hotel. You wouldn't even be able to get an apartment to live in, man. Understand that. Freeze all your credit cards and everything. Well, let's get back to this, man. But so when you're dealing with a private thief like Baltimore or Sterling Santos, the court system, you don't need the court system to lean these people up. It functions quite simple. This commercial lien process, it functions quite well on its own outside of the legal court system. I try to help this dude. What's this dude that used to call me over the time, man, from California? Perez. Damn, I forgot his first name. I kept trying to tell the brother, man, you don't need to go to court to do a commercial lien. You've been watching too much damn YouTube. You people go to YouTube and they're teaching you all kind of garbage, man, half truths. You don't have to go to court to do a commercial lien for educational purposes. It needs to be fairly understood that because it is driven by sworn truth. The commercial affidavit process is outside of the jurisdiction of the equity courts. I cannot overemphasize that. It is a private contract matter. Do you understand? Should an attempt be made to involve any equity court, it could actually and would result in trespass against the affiant's rights. So if they try and take it to court, you're going against my rights. You're trespassing against my rights. So those interfering with the individual rights when we're unlawfully involved would themselves become one of those accused. So in other words, he's trying to take it to court. If the court takes it up, you put a lien on those as for educational purposes. See, an equity court has no jurisdiction whatsoever over the commercial affidavit process. I know no one else has actually taught you this before, but your brother Tazadaq is teaching right now because I'm giving you right knowledge. So a non-judicial or pre-judicial process between the individuals, and it is private. Understand that. So this alone presents a very real dilemma for those who are actually accustomed to using the legal system to work wrongs and trespass against others. It shuts that whole thing down. See, they can't hide behind the legal system. Not with this commercial lien process. They cannot hide behind the legal system that only dispenses justice to those who actually can afford to play the game and pay for the game. Those who are used to shielding themselves under this sovereign immunity, these public officials, these bureaucrats, protections, hiding behind the legions of attorneys and behind their judges in their priestly robes and using their other legal tricks and buffoonery, have none of those protections against this commercial lien process. Do you understand? So no judge, no court, no law or government can invalidate these commercial processes. An affidavit or a complaint or a lien based thereon because of no third party can invalidate someone's affidavit of truth. None of that can. So a judge for educational purposes cannot interfere with and tamper with or in any other way modify testimony without disintegrating the truth-seeking process of his profession, destroying the very fabric of his own occupation and abrogating the First Amendment, which was established to protect truth. So for a judge to interfere with the testimony is to commit a professional suicide and to invite countless civil and criminal repercussions. Do you understand? So anyone who tampers with a testimony is a threat to peace and the security of society, and is violating laws and acting as an enemy, and is warring against the Constitution, and is therefore justifiably subject to the appropriate penalties. Do you understand? So the commercial affidavit process is by itself a very natural, private process and strictly between the parties of interest only. No one else. It is unequivocally non-judicial. Do you understand? You don't have to go to court to do this. Now, what is a sworn truth? Why is all of this necessary? Because those are the 3 points that I just gave you. Because there might be people in the room that really don't clearly understand this. A sworn truth is the foundation of the law. Commerce and the whole legal system consists in telling the truth. I solemnly swear to tell the truth and the whole truth, or I affirm, either by testimony, by deposition, or by affidavit. See, every honorable judge requires that those who appear before him be sworn in to tell the truth and compelled by the high principles of his profession to protect the truth. That's if he's a just judge. Now, commercial affidavit is an affidavit of truth. Affidavit of truth. You heard me talk about before. It is the sworn testimony of the affidavit solemnly swears that the facts contained therein are true, correct, and certain. So every claim made in the affidavit is backed by the documentary evidence that is provable without any contrivance. Well, meeting the demands. You got to meet the demands. So if the accused recognizes the charges are true and or decides that the wisest thing to do is to meet the demands rather than face the staggering punitive damages which accompanies the insurance of the criminal complaint, the accused has the option of simply meeting the demands, for if not, he's going to get leaned up. He can negotiate with the complainant. Or if the accused has good sense to meet the demands of the claimant, then the wrongs have actually been satisfied and redressed. And that is the end of the issue, and all charges have actually been resolved. The commercial affidavit process is then closed. But anyone is free to use the commercial affidavit process, but it is a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. Anyone who undertakes it must follow the maxim. Be honest with yourself, because especially under the commercial affidavit process, truth will out. Consequently, it is extremely important to ensure that everything in the affidavit is true and unrebutable. Acquiescence. What is someone acquiesce? So many of you run into this problem. You've done a commercial lien, and the person acquiesced. You didn't know what to do. So when one is accused in a commercial affidavit process, properly, truthfully done, now the wisest course is to redress the claimant's demand. That's the wisest thing that they could do. Whatever must be done needs to be done to accomplish it. Now, should the accused be misguided into choosing any response other than acquiescence, the criminal complaint will be issued and accompanied by the commercial lien based on the complaint ledger of the charges, the courts, the redress, the demands, and adding punitive damages. And two, if you're putting a commercial lien, you want that behind locked up incarceration as provided in the applicable federal and state criminal codes. Now, although it is extremely unlikely in the face of a properly done affidavit, should the accused believe that the affiant's charges are somehow in error, or he or she, during the grace period only, rebutes any charge. However, the response will not avoid assurance of the trial criminal complaint. The commercial lien will still issue any charges not rebuted. So if they don't rebut it, charge is still going to go forth. A second commercial lien will issue for any rebuted charges about the common law jury, thereby convene remains unpersuadable. So hence, any rebuttal, unless you can show me otherwise, is useless and 100% meaningless. So if someone decides to rebut the commercial lien process, what do? The sworn affidavit stands as the truth. If not timely rebutted, the accused loses. So in the instant case, it's typically 30 days. They got 30 days to respond. If they don't respond in 30 days, the unanswered affidavit, commercial lien, is going to stand as the truth. Now, failure to follow the corrupt process of rebutting the commercial liens means it's going to go in effect. Do you understand? Now, you can get a resolution, which is known as a resolution by jury. There's something known as criminal liability. I don't want to go into all of that. There's a ledger identifying the penalties. There's so much. If I went totally into all of this stuff that could actually be involved with the commercial lien, it'd probably take me like 4 hours. There's jail time. In fact, I'll go over this in detail at my next seminar. And so if someone has, let's say someone owes you a sum, a fiat, someone decides that, well, I'm not going to pay Tazadaq, then instead of taking him to court, I may decide to keep it out of court and put a commercial lien on it. Now, what are the type of liens? There's a common law lien. These are not commercial. Liens that must be upheld by judicial actions in court before claims to assets can be actually executed. That's a common law lien. A common law liens are usually used more in a defensive manner to shield and to protect an asset, rather than in an offensive manner to claim an asset. You have what is known as equity liens. They arise from equity courts or administrative courts. You have what is known as statutory liens. These are established by statutory laws of the state. You have what is known as a mortgage lien. These are created by contracts between the borrower and the lender, with the asset of the borrower pledged as collateral to the lender. That's what happened when they take your damn house, put it in a foreclosure. You have what is known as mechanic liens. These are created by contracts between the borrower and the lenders, with the asset of the borrower pledged as a collateral to the lender. You don't pay, they keep your car. You have commercial liens, also known as contract liens. These are true bills in commerce publicly declared. A true bill in commerce always contains and is characterized by 1-to-1 correspondence between an item or a service purchased and a debt owed. So the commercial relationship is what is known as a just compensation, according to the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution of the Republic. See, a normal true bill in commerce is private, whereas a commercial lien is a publicly declared using means such as media advertising and or filing at the county recorder's office. So when it's actually uncontested by a category point-to-point rebuttal of the affidavit, it is considered an account receivable security according to 15 USC. Now, in general, a commercial lien, i.e., a mechanic's lien or a workman's lien, takes seniority over the common law liens, which in turn takes precedence over a mortgage lien. Tax liens are classified as commercial liens, which is why they are so troublesome. So, what about when you compare the commercial lien to a common law lien? Now, common law liens are well known in the sovereign community. Those of you that's calling yourself sovereigns and secure party creditors, you probably know about the common law liens for asset protection. They are considered non-commercial because they do not contain a declaration of one-to-one correspondence between an item or service purchase and the debt owed. And thus, they do not represent the true bill in commerce. Now, because of that, the fact a commercial lien must be adjudicated by a court of common law before an asset can actually be claimed by the other party, and is therefore known as a les predits lien. So the commercial lien upon outcome is pending on the litigation. So it is a security, but it is not an account receivable until it is actually adjudicated as such. So, I mean, pretty much that's a difference between the commercial lien versus the common law lien. Now, a commercial lien is typically, as I stated earlier, what the IRS usually use against you is a commercial lien. Sovereigns, many of them, they're trying to use the common law lien. Now, I'm not going to go. I'm going to have to really skip over a little bit of this, a lot of this, and I'll go over this thoroughly at my next seminar. So let's say if you wanted to do a commercial lien. Now, one of the first things that I would do, that I have done, is known as a notice of intent. And you should be writing this down. A notice of intent. Now, you are hereby giving, I put the person on notice, because the first thing that you got to do is you got to notice your brother. So I do a notice of intent. You're hereby giving further notice of intent to seek commerce and criminality, prosecute all those responsible under all applicable provisions and mandates of the ordained Constitution for the Union of several states of the United States of America and the laws made pursuant thereof, including but not limited to 18 USC 219, 241, 242, 645, 654, 912, 951, and 1001, to wit. Now, 18 USC 645, whoever being a United States Marshal, clerk, receiver, refuses, trustee, or other office of the United States court, or any deputy, assistant, or employee of any such officer retains or converts to his own use of the other. You know what? I'm not even going to go into all of this. I'm going to let you read that for yourself. Write this down. 18 USC 645. So now, if I'm sending him this notice, I would probably begin with you, John Doe, was further forwarded and duly informed by the administrative demand and administrative law brief sent by certified mail. Return receipt requested, docket number such and such, to the governor of the fund, United States Attorney General, such and such and such and such. So then I would go down and put timely notice and demand has been given you. 18 USC um, 4 2382. Testified this 7th day of July 2018 in the year of our Lord. Most sincerely, tazadaqshah, suri juris, or secure party creditor. Um, the domicile, cura, then the domicile. If you're going to put a zip code, I'd put that in brackets, so on and so forth. Then I take that to a notary. I have the notary sign it, and so on and so forth. When they don't respond, that's just like a typical notice. When they don't respond, I'll send them a notice of default affidavit. That's the first thing I would send. Some of you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do it, you can contact me. Be more than happy to do it for you, quid pro quo. So I'll send them that notice of default affidavit. Also, I will include a commercial affidavit of notice, declaration, and demands, fair notice and warning of commercial grace, notice of non-judicial proceedings. This is a U.S. SEC tracker flag, not a point of law, a security. Then I put in brackets 15 USC. So I'll send him this commercial affidavit. Fill it out like you typically would an affidavit. I send it off to him or her, whoever it would be, or if it's an organization, I'll send it off to them. And so then they don't respond, I'll send them a second notice of default. Same thing, I'll probably wait 10 days. Typically, you want to wait 10 days. In short, I would send them 3 notices of default. There's no need to try and rush through this thing. I'll send them a 3rd notice of default. And so by the time we get to the 3rd notice of default, if, he hasn't responded, then, hey, it's time for me to actually take it to court and institute what I'm actually going to institute against him. Whether it be like a criminal complaint, criminal claim, what have you. Whatever I'm bringing against this individual or this organization. So have a look at 18 United States Code 4, Federal Rules, Criminal Procedures, Rule 3. Have a look at that. Affidavit of information, criminal complaint. Have a look at that. You may, for educational purposes, you may want to bring some of that against them, where it talks about denied rights, domestic mixed war, slavery, and so on and so forth. That gets kind of heavy, man. Fraud, extortion, grand theft, robbery, false documents, conspiracy, racketeering. All of this falls under that. Bankruptcy. All of that falls under that United States Code. So, I generally cited a lot of that. And again, if you be at my next seminar, it's going to be another 2-day seminar. All of this is going to be there in detail. Also, treason falls under that. So it will be a lot of information. If you lien this person up, his life is pretty much over, because this lien stays in place for 99 to 100 years, unless you raise this lien yourself. So then I start hitting them with a lot of different articles. All of this is on my like Article 1, Section 1, denied right of liberty. Article 1, Section 1, demand right of acquiring property. Article 1, Section 1, demand right of possession property. Article 1, Section 1, demand right of defending property. I mean, so much information here. No way I could actually cover it here in this live stream. But again, if you're at the next seminar, I'll go over this at the seminar. You also want to have a look at 18 USC 3571. Subtotal damages in count. So that's another thing you actually want to have a look at. You want to have a look at sedition and treasoning. You want to have a look at 18 USC 3571 and 18 USC 3623, conspiracy, racketeering. So all of this, I put all of these type of lien against them. This is actually all in my lien process. Am I telling you to do this? No, I'm not telling you to do this at all. Then I'll put in there an agreement. And I'll put in a schedule. I'll put in a notice of lien. I'll put in a notice propose the disposition of the collateral. So I mean, a lot of information here, brothers and sisters. And so again, if you be at the next seminar, then hey, you actually really get this lien process in detail as it should be. So the other thing I wanted to say is that when you're dealing with commerce, and the commercial lien is a commercial process, you want to keep these things in mind when you're dealing in commerce. There's several rules that you have to abide by when you're dealing with commerce, and if you violate these rules, you're going to have a very, very bad day if you're dealing in commerce. So do not take these as trivial, but write these to memories, or at least write them down. So by insight through observation, we could actually deduce how most things function. So if you allow this information to enter your subconscious mind, you could alter your life. You could change over the false perception of reality that they've actually given to you and that's been presented to you by the mainstream media, by your educators, by your parents, by your peers. So the information in this video and any other information that I put out is intended to break the spell that's actually been cast upon the mass mind. Now, what I want to give you now before I close this thing out is, again, 10 rules of commerce. Many of you've heard me say this before, but you need to learn these rules. Number one is you could only control what you create. You procreate a son or a daughter, not a child. The child is a fiction. So you could only control that which you create. Remember that. You cannot control that which you do not create. The state has no control over your son or your daughter. Why? Because they didn't create them. It's a rule of commerce. You need to remember this, because you need to apply these to everything that you do in life every day. If you apply these, your life is going to change. Number three, all commerce is based on title. I'm going to say that again. All commerce is based on title. The birth certificate, the social security card, the manufacturer statement of origin, which is the MSO to your car. All commerce is based on title, the allodial title. Number four, the only true title to anything is the MSO, the manufacturer statement of origin, according to Genesis 1 verse 1. Everything goes back to the Bible. So you see how when a baby is born into the hospital, they create a live record of birth, then a birth certificate is created. For everything that comes off an assembly line is a manufacturer statement of origin. That's the title that you need if you want to control that property. Number five, when you register anything, anywhere, you give up title. If you register your car, if you register your son or daughter for school, if you register to get married, if you register to vote, when you register anything, you give up true title. You keep consenting. Number six, there is no money, just fiat currency. Only credit in circulation. There is no money. There's only credit. Your signature creates the energy. Number seven, there is no involuntary servitude. So you go to jail, you go to prison because you consent. In some shape, form, or fashion, you consent. You can believe it, you can like it, understand it, believe it or not. In some shape, form, or fashion, you consent. You must consent, and you have a right to contract. Amistad. Number 8, first in line is first in time. Recorded in a public record at the county. So, if you don't want them to put liens against you, I suggest you become a secured party creditor and you put a lien against that straw man's property. First in line is first in time. And I'm telling you, man, this stuff really works. But you really need to apply this. Number 9, do not interfere with commerce. And I'm getting pretty close to that right now. Do not interfere with commerce. It's crystal clear. Number 10, most importantly, do not allow nothing to come between you and your creator. That's eliminating all paganism. Do not allow anything come between you and Yahweh. Examples: your divorce, your car loan, your speeding ticket. Applying these rules can help you understand and even master commerce. I guarantee you, if you apply these rules, your life is going to change. If you apply these 10 rules of commerce, your life is going to change. Your life is going to change. This will get you out of Babylon. You want to know how to get out? Read your Bible. Keep these 10 rules to commerce. Do you understand? These are the 10 rules of commerce that you most definitely need to learn to follow. Do you understand? Private commerce and real estate have fun ravishing you. But the banks, the courts, have even more fun. See, if you knew contract, which is law, and law is contract, then you would know that you create all of the energy that you want. And you would never need to pay fiat. Now, let me just, before I leave, let me just give you a look at how I once purchased an REO properties with my private credit. Now, for informational and educational purposes only. I'm not giving any legal advice, and I'm not telling anyone to do this. I'm going to give you the steps. Now, I should be charging you for this. Quid pro quo. A workman is worthy of his hire. It's Bible. But I'm going to give you the steps that I take to complete the process successfully. I find the property I like. I find the property I like, high-end bank owned or REO, and there are lots to choose from. You make an offer. I make an offer to buy, and I make sure that I do not offer my earners fiat because of the payment that they might try and link. So I offer a bill of exchange, or you could offer a promissory note for full or partial amount of whatever it is that you want. Then I sign the purchase and the sale agreement. Then I sign my bill of exchange, but you could use a promissory note and a bond to back the promissory note or the bill of exchange. Then I record the contract or my bill of exchange, or your promissory note if you're a debtor, and the bond. I quitclaim deed. A warranty deed is a just an agreement to sell. Then I just purchase an REO using my private credit. I do not just shoot the breeze. I facilitate right now. This is how you do it, man. This is how you do it. But on the contrary, most people have been programmed to wake up and just follow the scheme. And so your desires is to have as much FRN as you possibly can. You must read the Constitution, folks. You must read the Declaration of Independence. You got to do this, man. If you want to be effective, if you want to stop being a debtor, you've got to learn to do these things. You got to learn to do these things. You got to read the Constitution. You got to read the Declaration of Independence. You got to do these things. If you look back prior to 1938, all U.S. Supreme Court's decisions was based upon public law, which was a system of law that was actually controlled by the constitutional limitations. Now, since 1938, all U.S. Supreme Court decisions are based upon what is termed public policy. Don't believe me? Go and check it out for yourself. They're changing the world that you live in right in your face. So when you go into a public venue known as a court, you assume that law is on the table, but it's really public policy. But don't believe me. Please do your own research. Public policy concerns commercial transactions made under negotiable instruments. Law, which is this is actually is a breach of the international law merchant. This has actually been codified into what is known as the Uniform Commercial Code, which is the system of law that they use, which was actually made lawful throughout the 50 states of the United States and the Congress of the United States, which has its origin in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the information. So you best to get to studying some law, man. It's okay to go and look at diverse YouTube channels, but the quickest way to learn nothing is to try and study a lot of different people at once. And if they're not coming with "Thus saith the Lord," I don't think they're really going to teach you law. It's really going to be effective. Now, since all contracts since Roosevelt time is actually having colorable consideration of Federal Reserve notes instead of the genuine considerations of silver and gold, all contracts are colorable contracts and not genuine contracts. Do you understand? So according to Black Law's dictionary, colorable means that which is in appearance only and not in reality. So the whole system of law that they're calling law is really colorable. Do you understand? It's all colorable. And once you know this kind of stuff, you start to look at the world differently, and people are going to start to look at you as if you are crazy. They're going to look at you as you are crazy. So start reserving your rights for educational purposes. Start reserving your rights. Start all rights reserved. Simply write UCC 1-308. Start reserving your rights. Stop just signing anything. The only thing that I don't reserve my rights on is an affidavit, because it avoid out the affidavit. But otherwise, you should reserve your rights, and you should learn those laws of commerce that I just told you about. If you apply those to your life is going to change. If you don't apply them, things are going to stay the same. How is that working out for you? How is things working out for you in this unjust system? Are they getting better? No, they're not. Things are getting worse. This system is getting worse. This system is about to implode. So unless you take yourself out of it, unless you learn right knowledge, you're going to implode with it. You got to stop trusting in oppression. A lot of you say you're not getting justice in the court system. Well, I contend that if I don't get justice, I may want to go and file a commercial lien. Am I telling you to do that? No, I'm not. Who has the power to lift a commercial lien? Not the judge. No, they don't have the power to lift the commercial lien. That ruins their credit. They can't get a home. That controls their property. Do you think if you had this power that they would play the semantics with you that they're playing? That's your power, man. That's real power, the commercial lien process. A lot of going to these courts, these judges play with you like you're um like you're a toy game or something, like you're a board game. Because they know that you really don't know what you're doing. But if you go in, for educational purposes, you start using what's lawful against them, they may not take you as a joke anymore. They may start to respect you. Am I telling you to do this? No. I'm not. But I'm telling you that it's a tool there if things get really nasty. But you really want to think if you decide to use it. And if you do it, you better make sure you do it right, because it's a double-edged sword. So if you really want to go through the entire commercial lien process, be at my next seminar, which I think I'm probably going to do in Florida pretty soon. But, I've been talking for like 2 hours. I trust that you got something from this video, but definitely apply those 10 rules of commerce. If you apply those 10 rules of commerce, your life is going to change, man. Your life is going to change for the better. But you got to remember, you got to apply it. You got to think it out. And everything that you do, apply those rules, man. Apply those rules of commerce. Because instead of swimming in the sea of commerce, you've been drowning. I'm probably going to do that, Brother John Doe in Orlando, since it's kind of like the middle of Florida. Tampa, I think that's a little further out. Hey, this is what you got to do, man. And so all power comes from you. You got to remember that. Start studying maxims of law. Maxims of law don't change. This is why a lot of you fathers can't get your children in these courts, because you go and you're trying to use their damn statutes. You're trying to use their statutes. Go in and use the maxims of law. Maxims of law adjust and they never change. And I went over many in this video. So if you came up in this video later, you need to go back and you need to watch it in its entirety. Maxims of law never change. You want to get some remedy? Here's your remedy. Stop being debtors, become a secure party creditor. You can't do anything in a corporate ward status. You don't have any power. You're a subject. You're a slave. So you first got to get out of that corporate ward status. Know who you are to be a man. Stop being a victim of the system. They don't want to give you your rights. There's one way to get them. If you put a lien on them, what do you think they're going to do? They're not going to be able to do anything. They're going to lose their positions. This is why in some states that they made it a felony to pass a commercial lien on someone. How can it be a felony when it's a right that you have and you don't even have to go through the court system to do it? Now, I'm not telling anyone to do this, but I'm telling you that this is a tool out there, a very powerful tool that would take their damn heads off. All power comes from you, man. You're the king. Why don't you start acting like it, man? You're the real king. All dominion was given to Adam. So that means the judge, the police officer, the state trooper, the detective, all of these alphabet groups fall under you. They all fall under you. But if you're a corporate ward of the state, guess what? That means you consent. How do you consent? You consent by way of the birth certificate. You said, no, Tazadaq, I didn't do it. I was too young. My mom signed me over. Well, when you became working age and you got a social security number, you consented then. You signed yourself into the system then. So you became a ward of the state. When you went and got a job, you consented because they told you you needed a social security card to get paid. So you consented. So you signed up and you agreed to everything. You became a ward of the state. Understand that. So you got to do a revocation of power of attorney to take power of attorney back from the state. That's the only way to get out of this state. Do you understand? Stop consenting. They can't even send you to prison, man. I know most of you don't believe this because it's coming from a melanated man. They can't send you to prison unless you consent. You keep consenting in some shape. It doesn't mean that you may be aware of it, but I'm telling you, you have to consent in some way. You're consenting to these contracts, whether you're conscious of it or unconscious, but you're consenting. Stop consenting. And the only way to stop consenting is you got to know the law, which is a contract. That's your remedy. And they don't want to play right. They don't want to play fair. I'm going to start singing Lean On Me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna start singing "Lean on Me." You know what I mean? And they're not gonna like when I'm leaning on them. You know what I mean? They're not gonna like it when you're leaning on them. You know what I mean? Store said, you know what I mean? You're not gonna be telling them to lean on you, but hey, you're gonna be leaning on them. But Jeremiah 17, verse 5 says you shouldn't lean on another man, for support. So I mean, in this instance, you definitely want to lean on them, man. You know what I mean? I lean all over them, man. Real talk, man. But with that, I'm about to bring this to a close, man. I've been talking like 2 hours and 15 minutes. So if you didn't watch this video, you need to go back because there's some major terms in here that you need to learn before you even consider doing a commercial lien process. But to get it in its entirety, just be at the next seminar. It's going to be another 2-day seminar because it's just way too much information to put out in one day. I haven't even gotten around to editing the video for the last seminar, but there's a lot of valuable information in there, man. But hey, who sings that? I'm Withers, whatever the guy's name. Lean on me when you're not strong. Okay, they want to railroad you in court. They might ignore all your paperwork. Hey, someone on the private side, someone don't want to pay you, they owe you. You got that information. If you already got a contract with them, don't you know you can lean them up? I'm not telling you to do stuff, but I'm saying you can. I can't tell you anything. I'm not giving you any kind of legal advice. But if they don't want to pay you, start playing lean on me. Just send them a message. Hey, with lean on me in it, they might wake up and hey, that's what it is, man. But so that's your remedy right there, man. No matter how big they are, man, no judge, no one can lift the lien, man. And it's going to be in place for 99 years. Can you imagine that? There was a video that was surfacing a few years ago, if you doubt what I'm saying, where these people that they was calling so-called sovereign citizens, they lean up this judge, man. And the judge was saying that his life was ruined. He said, my life was ruined. I'm afraid. I can't get no credit. My credit cards don't work. My bank account is locked. This stuff is real, man. It's not no game. I'm not playing semantics. Go and check it out. There's a video called Sovereign Citizens or something going wild. Now, I never referred to myself as a sovereign citizen. That's like an oxymoron in the first place. I just say that I'm an American national. I don't even use that term sovereign. But if you go and check that video out, you'll see that part where that judge was saying that I'm afraid, I sleep with my gun under my bed. They have liens on everything. I can't do nothing. So understand that. So after that, in certain states like Georgia, they try and make it a felony to put commercial lien on a judge, on a public official. Well, show me that law. That's not a law. That's public policy. But you got to know the law. Do you understand? Do you understand? That's not law, man. That's public policy. It's only law if you consent, if you agree. Stop consenting. Free yourself from slavery. Bob Marley said it best. Free yourself from mental slavery. That's your redemption. Your redemption song is Lean On Me. Understand that. So with that, want to become a secure party creditor, go to the website, truedisciplesofchrist.org. Stop procrastinating. Procrastination leads to your devastating. The problem is, many of you wait until it's too late to become a creditor. You wait until you're in dishonor, and that is a grave mistake. Hey, shalom, Brother Dave. Shalom, King. So you're waiting until it's too late. Don't wait until you're already in dishonor because it's more difficult to get out of that situation. Hey, Brother Edwin, may the Most High bless you as well. So this is what we got to do, man, because we're the real power, man. If more people would get their minds right and trust in the Bible, don't listen to, I might have some Egyptologists listen to me and Muslims. Man, nothing's going to save you like the Bible. They keep making mockery of it. They laugh at it. They make buffoonery of it. But I'm hit you something. There's no other book in the world that has prophecies that's come to pass like the Bible. Why do you think they're using it in the judicial system? because it is the truth. It's the truth, man. And if you learn this Bible, you can master their laws. So I'm telling all of you Kahans out there that if you know the Bible, man, all you got to do is study the Bible and learn how to apply this in this system of law as far as contracts are concerned. Understand that. Because if you know the Bible, man, this thing becomes easy. When they try to hit you with something, look it up in the Bible, because I'm going to hit you with something. Because there's a maxim of a law that applies to that. Because their maxims of laws come from the Bible. It comes from the Bible, man. That's one of the things that every attorney used to have to study was the Bible. Why? Because it was practiced in law from the beginning. Now it's public policy. So now they've taken the Bible away. Why do you think the first thing when you go into Esau's court, he'll tell you, he used to tell you to swear, put your hands on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Now the only thing he does is ask you to raise your right hand. Even when he had you to swear on the Bible, he would have you swear on the Bible when the scriptures tell you to swear not. Swear not. Then he snatched the Bible away. And you don't want to use the laws in the Bible anymore. He started throwing statues at you. Hold on, you just had me swear on this book for what reason? Now you snatching it away? Shows you how wicked the system is, man. This system is going to implode. Don't be a part of it. Don't be a part of it, man. This is what Mashaiyach was talking about when he said, come out of the world. Come out of this world. Therefore, come out from amongst them and be you separate. You got people going to Israel. You got people going to Jerusalem. Like those Edomites over there are not as wicked as the ones overhead. Like Shimon Peres and them is not wicked. Like they're not wicked. You got Israelites that went over there years ago, man, in the 60s. They didn't make them citizens. You can't run, man. Wickedness has covered the earth. When the scriptures is telling you to come out of her, my people, he's not meaning to go to Israel, to Jerusalem. That's allegorical, brother. He's telling you to come out of their mind states, man. Understand that. He's saying to come out of their mind states. Because where can you go, man? The same man is controlling, you got to bear me witness. And the Euro Gentiles is listening. Don't get upset with me. You got to bear me witness. Everywhere on the earth, rulership is under who? Under the so-called white man. So if the white man is ruling the earth, the white man is responsible for the conditions of the people in the world. Understand that. That's the truth. But when you start talking the truth to people, people don't want to hear that. Now, did I say all people? No, did I say all so-called white people? No. I'm talking about the global elite. Because many of you white people, they consider you to be white trailer trash. Understand that. They understand that. I'm just being real, man. I'm just keeping it a buck. And guess what? Most people can't handle the truth. So they get angry. You get in your emotions. And so when you get in your emotions, you can't follow me correctly. Because your damn emotions is distorting your thinking. So instead of detaching your emotions and just listening like, wait a minute, this is what's going on. And so when you get to a certain status, they don't care about your damn color. That's why they let that Hamite in there, Obama, and black people lost their damn mind. Oh yeah, we got a black president. Man, you ain't got nothing. The only thing you got is Pat's blue ribbon. You know what I mean? You got a black, and what did he do for you? How did your life change under Obama? The man was selected, not elected, because America is a large company. It is a corporation, 28 USC 3002 subsection 15A. It's a large company. So the companies, nobody is elected. They're selected. The CEO is determining who he wants where, or he used his lower directors in the world to direct that. But they're not elected. They're selected. They're handpicked. Understand that. That's the same thing. Trump, though you guys voted for Hillary, and Hillary's killing me diligently. She's a feminist. And though you guys voted for Hillary, somehow Trump was selected to be the president of the corporation. And so meanwhile, behind closed doors, Hillary and Trump is cool like that because they're both working for the certain corporation. But out front, they want they want you to think that the Democrats are against the Republicans and the Republicans is against the Democrats. Just like when you go to court, you get a damn attorney. When you read in Corpus Juris Secundum, Volume 7, Section 4, an attorney's first obligation is to the court, to the public, and not to the client. But your dumbass still go out and get a damn attorney and think he's for you. There's a conflict of interest there. What the hell's wrong with you, man? When are you going to wake up? What the hell's wrong with our people, man? What is wrong with all of the people? Your program. That's what's wrong with you. You're programmed from reality. You're programmed into a matrix. Until you wake up, man, you're going to still be miserable. And guess what? You know why they keep you working so much, man? You know why they want you to work double shifts so you can't study stuff like this? This is why they want to censor the internet now. This is why they don't want certain videos out there. They don't want you to know the truth, man. So they keep you busy. They keep you working so you don't have time to read. You don't have time to study. That's all part of the plan. That's why they pay LeBron James and them millions to keep your behind distracted. Oh, you're going to watch the basketball game. Oh, yeah, let's play hockey. Go and watch the hockey game. Yeah, let's watch some football. You just say in Jamaica, yeah, I mean, watch the ball game on. You kick the ball on. But, I mean, you keep you distracted. Let's watch some football. The American football. Soccer. They call that football. Let's watch hockey. They keep so-called white people distracted with hockey, tennis. Keeping you distracted, man. Well, let's give them Xbox. We'll keep them busy here. And by the way, let's get these smart TVs out. We'll have a built-in camera. They won't even know that we're looking at them. So when the husband and wife is actually having sex, we'll be watching them right through the smart screen TV. We'll know everything that's going on in their home. Yeah, let's get the smartphone also. And we're tapped at as well. See, many of you think I'm crazy when I'm telling you stuff like this, man. But I had a top secret level clearance when I was in that military. Don't you know that they have things, satellites in outer space that could look right through your building and see what you're doing? They can see everything that you're doing, man. And some of you don't want to come on Facebook. You don't have to come on Facebook. You got a smartphone, don't you? They can see you. You got a smart TV. They can see you. They can see right in your house. And I'm telling you, man, this is very real. This is real, man. They getting you in your food. They killing you in your food now. Half of the stuff that they're telling you in the store is organic. Is not even organic. They're growing that. Check this out. Let me show you how organic foods really don't help you. And this is why me and my cousin Mark was planning on growing our own vegetables and crops under a greenhouse. Because even if they're saying that these vegetables are organic, right? With all of the chemtrails that they're spraying in the damn skies, even if they're saying that they're planting them organic, those chemtrails are still falling on the earth. So you're still eating that garbage. Unless you got some earth and you took it inside a greenhouse and you're growing your own crops. Understand that. Understand it. Esau is getting you every which way. Now he's getting you in your water. He's getting you in the water. He's getting your children with the injections. If you want to go to college, you got to take an injection. He's injecting you with something that don't affect you until 25, 30 years later. And most of you not going to believe what I'm saying because you simple as hell, man. You simple as hell. I can't tell you with your damn degree that you a dodo bird. You're not going to listen to me. Who's him? Who's Tazadaq? Sometimes he doesn't even speak proper English. It's because the hood in me comes out sometimes. So they say, oh, who's this guy? That can't be real. And so then you wonder why when you hit 40, 50, you sick. And you thought you were eating healthy, so you just get sick out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you know, a woman, you know what I mean? I had an aunt out of nowhere. She ends up with multiple scoliosis, just out of nowhere. Her spine just deformed. It's the food that you're eating, man. They're killing you in your food. They're killing you every which so way. They're making you take these injections. For college, hey, got to take a vaccination. Hey, when's the last time you had a polio vaccination? When's the last time you had a hepatitis vaccination? When is the last time you had what's that thing that they try and make everyone get? I don't know. They got so many different vaccines. I don't take none of them. My son hasn't taken any of them. None. He said, Tazadaq, how do you do that? Get a damn religious exemption. The Most High protects you, man. So check this out. I don't want to be much longer, but check this out. The vaccinations are supposed to protect you, right? So when my sons was going into the public school, they was like, well, we can't allow them to come into the classroom if they haven't been vaccinated. I said, well, hold on. All of the other students are vaccinated, right? So I thought your vaccinations were supposed to protect them against what they're being vaccinated against. So that means even if my sons were actually infected with something, your vaccination is supposed to protect them. It didn't really make any sense to me. See, it doesn't make any sense. Understand that. See, they're playing semantics with you, and you're following for it, man. You're following for it. And so, you know, that was one of my son's cousins when he was 1.5, 1 year, and 11 months. The kid was he was talking fine, everything. You know, he seemed like he was a smart kid. He was growing up with my son Yeshaya, and so he goes. I told his so-called dad, "Hey, stay away from the vaccination." He's like, "Oh man, you crazy? You're not getting your son vaccinated. They're gonna get sick." He goes and give his son the vaccination. The boy stopped talking. The boy became artistic. Now, to this day, like 7 years later, the kid is 9 and he still can't talk. Can't even hold a coherent sentence. It was after he got that vaccination that they require for children. Once they're 2 years old, the kid stopped talking and became artistic. That's what you're doing to your children, man. That's what you're allowing this. Who's doing this? Your defacto that you refer to as government. You can't even call me as a liar. And you know there's some doctors that won't even get their children vaccinated. Understand that. Why? Because they know the truth. So there's a small faction of doctors out there that know what I'm saying is true. And so when you put this stuff out, they call you conspiracy theorists because they don't want the truth to go out. They'll do anything to come against the truth. But the truth is going to go forth despite who likes it or not. Because why? We're coming to the end of this thing, man. We're coming to the end of this thing. And unless you repent, you're going to be a victim of this. And you don't want to be on the wrong side when Mashaiyach returns. And I know some of you think that's a joke. There he go talking that religious stuff. Tazadaq, you doing just fine until you... I'm not religious at all, man. I believe in the Most High. So the other trick that they use on you is the color game. They teach you so-called whites that you're better simply because your skin is white. That was just a plot that they used to divide and conquer you. So some of these people on the top, the higher echelons, so-called white men, they're the agents of Satan. It tells in the book of Genesis 3:15 that Satan has a seed. Satan has a seed right here walking on earth amongst us. And the children of perdition, the children of hell, is causing all of this discard. And this is how so little could rule so many for so long. And then when an awakened mind starts to speak this stuff, they don't want to hear it. Because people don't like to be told that you are wrong. They don't like to be told that. They'll start to look for a fault in you. And not to realize that when people are telling you that something is wrong about you, the person is telling you because they care about you. Not because they want to make you feel bad. They're telling you because they're giving you love. But because you get into your emotions, you can't understand it. You can't understand it. So, and I'm going to hit you with something, man. To all of you so-called whites under my voice, if your government cared about you, why did he make you like the black slave? Why does the same things that apply to the so-called black man now applies to you? The same thing applies to you. You're a 14th Amendment citizen. You're a slave. And if you think they love you, you get out of line. Don't get out of line. You better hear. That's why so many so-called white men is right up in the court system now with the so-called black men. They railroading you, man. Check it out. Don't believe me? Go and check it out for yourself. Go and check it out for yourself. What? Look at who's on special education. First, it's the so-called black boy. Then it's the so-called white boys. See, they don't care nothing about you. Girls are not really on it. Why? Because they're pushing the feminist agenda because they want to emasculate the men. They want to emasculate the men and feminize everyone. That's the whole thing about pushing this gay rights and lesbian rights. They got control. That's control. Don't you damn bird brains realize that's for population control? Don't you know how long they've been trying to control the population? They try to control it in the so-called black community with drugs. It didn't work. They try to control it in the so-called black community with guns. It's not working. These Negroes are not killing each other fast enough. The population is still too many. So how do they do it? They start putting you on meds, start putting you on special education, and start endorsing homosexuals and lesbians. Why? Because if you endorse homosexuals, lesbians, and transvestites and transsexuals, guess what? No one's repopulating. You need to listen to what I'm saying to you, man, because it's the truth. Because now no one's repopulating. And then they can control you. So this is why, and guess what? Guess what, Esau? The so-called white race is going for that more than anyone. Why? Because the so-called white race is now below zero population growth. Do you know, you so-called white people, that for every white person that's born, 2 is dying? In almost every European nation in the world, except for one, which is Albania. All of the other European nations are below zero population growth. I'm not being a racist. I'm telling you something to go and check out for yourself. So whether neo-Nazis and KKK is screaming white power, you better check yourself, because you're wrecking yourself. Come on, what are you talking about, man? They don't really care about you. They don't care about you. The real power structure is a Rothschilds. It's the Bilderbergs. Understand that. The banksters. If you're not one of them, you're just a white nigga. As far as they're concerned, you're just white trailer trash. Understand that. And I know you don't want to hear this, but you need to hear it. You need to hear it. That's just the truth, man. That's just the truth. If you doubt what I'm saying, get a book written by Pat Buchanan called Death of the West. He was a senator of the United States. Death of the West. Death of the West. I'm going to hit you with something. When you used to drive throughout cities in America, right? On the corners and at the, as the janitorial positions, you would see so-called black people, homeless, everywhere. What do you see now? You're seeing so-called white people. You drive down the city street, you see a so-called white person on the corner now. Who's doing that? Your government is doing that, man. Your government is doing that. Do you understand? There's a certain percentage of people that's all related. Obama, he was related to him. That's controlling the world. And this is where the world is in a global state of chaos. This is where, you can't go to a job. Well, I know I can't. And I don't see a homosexual or lesbian working there. I can't go to a public place without seeing one now. It wasn't like that 10 years ago. And then if you speak out against it, now how can this be check this out, right? As Donald Trump, how can this be a Judeo-Christian country and their religious leaders go into the Bible and they look over the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 13, when it says if a man lays with a man as he does a woman, both of them shall be put to death. Their blood should be upon them. How can you write that out? How can you read the Bible and not see that, man? Because you're wicked. Because this is a wicked. Because this is a modern Sodom. This is what the book of Revelations 11 and 8 is talking about. That country spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. How's she like Sodom? homosexuals and lesbians running all over the place, except for America's worst. This is the worst country in the world. You said, Tazadaq, why don't you leave? Why don't you go back to Africa? Shut up, man. I'm not even from Africa. I'm indigenous to this land, man. I've always been here. I've always been here, man. When the land was Pangaea, we was here. So don't give me that garbage about that. You may have many Israelites that came over here in the transatlantic slave trade, but I've always been here. My father was a Gadite. My people always been here in a Mexican, which you refer to as America, Northwest of Mexico. We always been here when the land was joined together. Understand that, man. Understand that. Because if I told you to go back, where would you go back to? Where would you go back to? Mount Sierra? So be careful what you say, man. Understand that, man. Understand that. So what I'm saying, brothers, sisters, we must run the law. And in order to run the law, if you know the Bible, you can master this man's system of law. But what it takes is for people to stop punking out and stand up and stop consenting. Because if you don't consent, what do they have? They have nothing. They have nothing. All power comes from the people. So the people really need to stand back up and start exercising that authority. Get out of your corporate ward status. I'm telling you, man, the reason that they have this power over you, man, is because you're in a corporate ward status. You are a debtor slave. You consent. You consent by way of a contract. And if you doubt it, if you tell me anything, I will show you how it actually involved a contract. The sounds out? Can people still hear me? Now, J.O. was saying the sounds out. So, I'm going to bring this to an end. But stop consenting, folks. Become a secure party creditor. Visit my website. Become a secure party creditor. Get my books. Read all those books. Study those books. Your life is going to change. Your life is going to change. You're going to learn that you really don't want to work for anyone else. You're going to learn that you want to be an entrepreneur or be a producer yourself. One of the most useful means that they're using to keep us in bondage is having us to go and work and making someone else rich. We need to learn to be producers and stop being consumers. Understand that. We got to, man. We got to stop being consumers and learn to be producers. We got to produce for self. We got to get our own land. We got to grow our own crops. Then we don't have to worry about this stuff. We got to create our own village and communities. It can be done. If you think it into your mind, you can think it into existence. We got to do all of this stuff, man. We got to start our own commercial real estate. We got to do all of this, man. You got to stop talking, man. You got to stop. You got to get rid of that crab in the barrel effect. When you see the brother trying to rise, you pulling him down. And you got to stop doing dumb, stupid things like those damn animals, those monsters did with that young brother Junior in the Bronx, the 15-year-old brother that they slaughtered in the Bronx. See, as far as I'm concerned, brother and sisters, all of those guys, according to the Bible, if the laws of God was actually enforced in this country, all of them would be put to death. They don't deserve to go and sit up in prison, man. According to the laws of the Most High, all of them should be put to death. According to thus saith the Lord, according to the Bible. You see how they stabbed that young brother up in that video, man? All of them should be put to death according to the Bible, man. Why do they deserve to live after they slaughtered that young man like that? And the whole world got to see it. And so what does the government do? Well, we'll put them in PC. Why in the hell would you allow them to go to PC? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life. Those are the laws of God. Those are the laws that need to be enforced. If those kind of laws was enforced, do you think men would be going out here committing adultery, sleeping with another man's wife? No, because his ass would be put to death. Do you think women would be running from man to man? No, because the laws of the Most High would be enforced, and that's what's gonna be set up in the kingdom, man. It's not gonna be none of that, man. They stabbed that young boy up, man. Can you imagine the devastating effect that has on his family? To see your son like that? Stabbed that many times by these damn animals? See, these are the kind of animals that's being reared by these single women. But you got sisters, oh, I don't need a man. Well, you're going to have to get with a man, sis. Because you're raising beasts. That's prophecy, man. Menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Second edges. Menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Unclean women. Women that don't have the right mind state. They have reprobate mind. These damn, wild beasts, gang members, running around just murdering people. Right? In New York City, man. In the Bronx. And that same gang, they have a female gang that calls themselves the Barbies. And so what they do is they lure other men or gang members into a certain area so that the male gang can shoot them up. Monsters. So with that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to bring this to a close. Again, get out of the corporate ward status. Stop being a slave to the defacto. Stop being a slave to anyone. The Most High did not create you to do that. The Most High created you to be a king, to be a ruler, in accordance with the book of Revelations 1 verse 6. You was created to be kings and priests, not slaves, not servants. So it's time that you take a stand and start doing that. So I'm going to say, Baha Sham, Yahawashi. Thank everyone for listening. Like this video, share this video. See you at the next seminar, Most High willing, and we'll go all over in detail over that commercial lien process. Shalom. Kwam Yasha'Allah. Kalatazah.